Okay, here we are. Let's see how this goes. I wonder, I didn't set any chat rules. Seems like it would have been a good idea to do that. We'll see how it goes. Going a little wild. Chat rules. Who needs chat rules? The random possibility of things going crazy is more interesting than rules, right? I mean, who knows? Well, so I'm gonna read a little and see what happens. This is a book that a wonderful nun passed to me when she came and stayed with me for a little bit. This is a blueprint of enlightenment, the contemporary commentary of Dogen Zenji's Gakudo Yojinshu by Gien Inoue. I spent a long time while I was in Eiheiji reading the Gakudo Yojinshu, and there were a whole bunch of lectures that happened. Sorry, my nose is a bit funny today. I think it's fall, and so things are beginning to rot, which means mold and mushrooms spores are flying about in the air. Anyway, while while I was in Eiheiji, we frequently had official, formal talks given by some of the masters, the main topic of which was the Gakudo Yojinshu, which is a really fun text. It's basically Master Dogen talking about, a good translation of that title is Points to Watch While Practicing the Way. There are a number of good chapters. Now I kind of think about streaming and seeing where this goes. Given now that this is going to go on YouTube, and there's indeed no one present in this stream right now. Hey, that means I have no rules too. Ha ha ha. And you're just stuck here with me if you're watching. So, where to begin? I mean, we could read the preface. Is that boring? Maybe it's not boring. I'll try to read it in a theatrical way. Why read this book? This is a question that someone who is not familiar with Zen practice may well ask. You might think this is a book for Zen insiders, and that is true to some extent. But I would especially like to recommend this book to those who haven't engaged in Zen practice, but are curious to know more about it. What a lovely concept that is. That's not written there, that's my own sentiment. Continuing, if you persevere just a little, reading slowly and carefully while thinking through what you have read, you will be welcomed with an open heart to the essence of Buddhist teaching. All people would like to live a satisfying life by bringing an end to doubt, by removing the underlying sense that something is lacking in their lives, and by being able to peacefully accept life and death as it comes to us. Zen is the way to do this. It teaches us that in the most direct and concrete terms that the only thing preventing us from realizing true peace of mind is our mistaken understanding of ourselves. Furthermore, Zen teaches that liberation from this misunderstanding is something that anyone can attain. The core Buddhist teaching passed down from the time of the Buddha's enlightenment to the present day is that all things are constantly changing, that all things are impermanent. This is something that we all understand, yet we mistakenly assume that a certain me resides within the human body and mind. We never question this sense of constant, continual self. We were given a name and were taught from a young age that we were born on a specific date and consequently that there is an end to life. In other words, we must die, and certainly there will be an end to our present bodily form. However, the Buddhist teaching is that there is a self, a big self, that is never born and never dies. Furthermore, this teaching encourages us to firmly believe that anyone can realize this universal, eternal self in this lifetime. A little aside, before I keep reading, I'm kind of wondering if that is referring to the koan. What was your face before your mother and father were born? Which is a preposterous question if you think about it logically. But Zen isn't all about logic now, is it? For those who are new to this teaching, it is necessary to first hear a Zen master expound it, reflect carefully on what you hear, and then make it your own by putting that teaching into practice and verifying it for yourself. In this book, you can listen to the teachings of not only one, but two great Zen masters. Dogen Zenji, who lived from 1200 to 1253, he died young, he worked too hard. And Gien Inoue Roshi, who was born in 1894 and died in 1981. That is a very mentionable lifespan. Compared to Master Dogen, Inoue Roshi really did a good job. Of course, if you were born in 1200, medicine and science were not much of a thing at all, so dying young is normal. I guess that makes it surprising that Master Dogen lived a whopping 52 or 53 years. Dogen Zenji was the great Japanese priest who traveled to China looking for a teacher to help him resolve a question that he had been with him since he was young. That question had to do with the Buddhist teachings that he had been reading. The teachings stated unconditionally that each person is endowed with Buddha nature. Iterashai. Tanoshinde. My partner is going on an adventure. It's late at night. It's 10:30 here in Japan. I'm starting a stream for the first time. Life is a happening all around. The teaching stated unconditionally that each person is endowed with Buddha nature. For example, that each person has the potential to uncover their inherently liberated nature, one free from suffering and delusive ideas. But if that is the case, young Dogen wondered, then why did all the successive ancestral masters, going back to the time of Shakyamuni Buddha, practice so intensely? Through great effort and good fortune, Dogen Zenji finally found Rujing Zenji, the Chinese master who helped him resolve this question. See, okay, I want to jump in here and say this. I find this funny. When we refer to, for example, Master Dogen, who we hold as a great master, the founder of the Soto Zen sect here in Japan, we refer to him as Dogen Zenji. But then in the context of him meeting Rujing, or Tendo Nyojo, as we call him in Japanese, we refer to Dogen as Dogen Zenji, meaning Tendo Nyojo Zenji. But at the time that Dogen met Tendo Nyojo Zenji, Dogen was not a Zenji. Dogen was just a bright young monk, 20-something years old, seeking the answer to his questions. So why do we refer to him as the title that he most certainly received posthumously? I find that very interesting. This is just a word usage question. Where were we? After this great awakening, Rujing Zenji, the Chinese master who helped him resolve this question, whereupon Dogen Zenji began his Zen training in earnest. After his great awakening, Dogen Zenji returned to Japan, eager to share his understanding with others. His first written work was A Universal Recommendation for Zazen, Dafukan Zazengi, in which he encourages everyone, young and old, women and men, and so forth, to do Zazen, the sitting form of meditation practiced in the Zen traditions. I just published a video about this. I highly recommend you go check it out. That's my recommendation. More or less well put together. I'm still a beginner. I don't really know what I'm doing, making videos. But anyway, I made a video. It's on my YouTube channel in another place. If you're watching this, you're probably watching it on YouTube. Go look at that. How to do Zazen at home. What I said is almost exactly in flavor and intention the same as Master Dogen's Fukan Zazengi, universally recommended instructions for Zazen. The sitting form of meditation practiced in the Zen traditions. He completed the revised form of this work in 1234. I can't overemphasize how important this work is for understanding Zen practice. One that is well worth reading and rereading any number of times. At the beginning of this work are the words, "The way is essentially universal and complete. How, then, can it be contingent upon practice and enlightenment?" The implication is that the way is something that exists from the very beginning and is not a matter of should I do it this way or should I do it that way. It is impossible, in other words, for viewpoints of the ego to interfere with the way. Dogen Zenji is saying that the way of liberation is clearly something within us now, and yet we don't understand this because of our upside-down way of thinking. If we remove the misconception that keeps us from understanding our true nature, it will be clear that we have essentially always been the way itself. In Fukan Zazengi, Dogen Zenji also wrote, "The Zazen I speak of is not step-by-step learning meditation. It is simply the Dharma gate of comfort and ease. It is the culmination of totally realized enlightenment. It is the manifestation of ultimate reality. Traps and snares can never interfere with it. If you attain this, you are like a dragon that has obtained water, or a tiger that reclines on a mountain." I'm going to jump in here and say this. There are a whole bunch of different ways. I'm yawning. It's 10:30 at night. That's a late hour for a Zen monk. I'm usually up at 3. Come on. What am I doing? This line about a dragon that has obtained the water or a tiger that reclines on a mountain. This is interesting. There's another way of reading that. Let me see if I can remember it. If you attain this, meaning you feel the meaning of doing Zazen practice, orienting yourself to stillness and silence, as I like to say. Not original. I'm sure someone else said it. I just don't know who. You are like a dragon taking to the water, or a tiger taking to the mountains. This is kind of like doing the most natural thing, like a fish swimming in the ocean or a bird flying in the air. Well, Dogen quoted some poetry from another master, which exactly has that same line. It's just, if you get the point, it's all obvious. There's nothing shocking, nothing mind-blowing, or it's almost so mundane that when you run into it, you kind of go, well, this is just regular, isn't it? Like, why am I even doing this? But actually, that's the time to do it. If a Buddha is always enlightened, already enlightened, then why does a Buddha continue to practice? That's Master Dogen's question. That's why he left Japan in the Kamakura Jidai, in the 1220s or whatever it was, and went to freaking China when it was really hard and dangerous. In fact, he went with another guy named Myozen, who was a Rinzai Zen master, the student of Eisai Zenji, who was a Rinzai master who brought Rinzai, Ninji, from China to Japan. And Master Dogen sort of practiced with him, and then he died, and then his sort of teacher, the person sitting in the teacher seat for Master Dogen, changed to Myozen, and Myozen was so compelled by Dogen's insights that he decided to follow Master Dogen to China. And then he died. What are you going to do with that? Let's continue. Around the same time Dogen Zenji was putting his finishing touches on Fukan Zazengi, he was also writing guidelines for studying the way, or points to watch while practicing the way, which is also the title of the book upon which this commentary is based. Gakudo yojinshu. The 10-section piece that is featured in this commentary, Guidelines for Studying the Way, is an important companion piece to the Fukan Zazengi in that it covers 10 essential components of Zen practice. While I mentioned at the beginning of this preface that practice and realization is something that anyone can accomplish, this is not an easy thing to do. Dogen Zenji founded Koushoji. I'm actually going there next month. As of this video, it's Halloween. Ha ha ha. I have become a spooky monk. Ho ho ho. I've come to take your wariness. That doesn't sound as good as, I've come to take your jugular vein. It doesn't work like that, but I'm a spooky monk. Boo. Did it work? Are you awake? So yeah, anyway, next month in November, within about 2 weeks, I actually get to go visit Master Dogen's first monastery, Koushoji. And that's in Uji. He founded that in 1233, where his students could dedicate themselves to this task of practice. As monks gathered around Dogen Zenji seeking the way through his teachings, he formulated these guidelines to help his disciples focus on the great matter of realizing their true self-nature. Did I mention it's 10:30? Here we are again. Same time, different time, same stuff. Oh my. Later in this life, Dogen Zenji would write many complex and sublime pieces that appeared in his masterwork, The Treasury of the True Dharma Eye, Shobo Genzo. However, in Guidelines for Studying the Way, we have something more direct, concise, and relatively easier to understand. Easier to understand! If that's not lunch meat, I don't know what is. This is... I had to go be in Eiheiji, in Master Dogen's last and most monolithic monastery, to live that life according to his rules before I got anything. But having said that, I'm here for you. I'm here to help. What do I want to say? I just, my whole life's mission as a Zen dude is to take the stuff I've learned and give it to you. Honestly, there's a little funny inside thing that, my first touch with Buddhism was actually Jodo Shinshu, a Pure Land school. And I heard a lot of wonderful teachings, and I remember reading Master Shinran Shonin's book, Tannisho. I should read it again. I really should. And being really blown away by an overarching theme that, the Buddha's teachings are for everyone, anytime, anywhere, no matter the circumstances. And that, I thought, was, sensible. Why not? And so, the Zen monks, of course, there's a lot of chance in Zen to just sort of come in. Was it Arugamama? Like, just as you are? You can get in there. You don't have to pay to go to college to become a Zen monk. You got to pay time. You got to go sit with a master. And then you get to be a monk, maybe. But, once you get through that gate, more or less, the rest, we take care of that. When you want to become a Zen monk, it's like the whole Sangha, the arrangement of monks, get in there and support that. And I can tell you, I'm very thankful for that, because my poor arse jazz musician old self couldn't power into this on my own power. That's just not enough. But I think Jodo Shinshu is more like you have to go to college, which is cool in its own way. You get to study specific stuff, like really, study, benkyo poi, if you speak some Japanese. I wanted to do that first, but I couldn't. That wasn't going to work for me. But the thing is that Master Shinran was really all about giving people something they could use in their daily lives, and just another angle, another branch in the great tree of the Buddhist teachings, and framing it in a way that was helpful for lots of people. And that's why it's really big. Zazen is tough. It requires time. It's not particularly easy. It's kind of easy at first when somebody sort of guides you through and hits you with a stick and you're like, wow, I feel really awake. This is great. My stress is all melted away. For once. Try it again tomorrow, or the day after, or the day after that, or the day after that. See where that gets you. It's quite theatrical and a pain in the rump. What are you doing? Come on. You can't. You have to be kind of stubborn to want to do Zazen. In fact, in Japanese Buddhism, there's that concept, there are these two concepts of jiriki and tariki. And riki means power, and ji means self, and ta means other. So jiriki means self-power, and tariki means other power. Having said that, they each sort of fit appropriately on understanding the difference between Jodo Shinshu or Jodo Shu, Pure Land School, and Soto School, Soto Zen, where I'm a monk. Yeah. In that, Zazen is jiriki, self-power. You gonna do the sitting, you work out your own salvation. Tariki is give it all up. If I can remember this right, I might be getting this wrong. I'm going to say it, see what happens. Remembering that Amida, who was a Buddha who lived in an epoch of existence which preceded Shakyamuni Buddha, as the story goes, from supposedly Shakyamuni Buddha, it doesn't seem absurd to me to imagine that there was a Buddha who lived in an epoch with maybe no connection to the Buddha who we kind of have in our epoch on this planet's history. So yeah, there was Amida. He made a vow to create a pure land into which all beings could be born. This is a twist. If only they remember that he made the vow to make a pure land into which all beings could be born. Huh? Yeah. Let me say that again. Everyone can get into the Pure Land. If you remember that Amida made a vow to make a Pure Land into which all beings could be reborn. It's a whole ontological discussion about what the Pure Land is exactly, but to put it simply, it is not separate from here and now. Pure does not mean bliss. It might mean joy and ease, which is a similar thing to the gateway that Master Dogen pointed out in the practice, or about the practice of Zazen. And so, well, you should do that. But you also maybe remembering Amida Buddha, saying the name Namu Amida Butsu, or Namanda, or Namu Amanda? What did the Chinese say? Oh, I've forgotten it. There's a beautiful way that the Chinese people say that when they recite the Nembutsu, Nyanho. Namoho? That could be it. Anyway, remembering, just saying the name of Amida Buddha is recalling the fact that Amida Buddha made a Pure Land, and in order for beings to be reborn into that Pure Land, what is rebirth? We get to that another time. In order for them to be in a state of inhabiting the Pure Land, all they need to do is say his name, remembering that he made a vow to make a Pure Land into which all beings could be reborn, if only they remember that he made a vow to make a Pure Land. Ooh, it's complicated. No, it's not that complicated, but it might be tough to follow the first time you hear it. We kind of got a little start, read a little bit of the introduction. I think that's all I want to do today. It's just a taste. Maybe with a streaming thing, I might use it from now, korekara, as a means of taking apart and commenting about some text. And maybe I put this on YouTube. If you're watching this, perhaps you're watching it on YouTube, and you might have a feeling or a comment about, oh, that's very interesting. I sure hope that I actually recorded this, because I talked about a whole bunch of good stuff. Let's see what happens. Anyway, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link in the description down below where you can make a small offering, drop a coin in my begging bowl, my digital begging bowl, to support me making more silly commentaries like this at an hour long past my bedtime. My goodness, I am awake at 10:46 p.m. If you wake up in the morning, I highly recommend go to bed early. This sucks. But, c'est la vie. And until next time, oh, if you have any questions before the next time, you can also see the email link in the description down below. Take good care.